Welcome to the Paranormal Pride. I'm your host, Denise Pridemore, and my husband, Ron. I hope you guys are having a great night. I wanted to give you guys a quick update. Anybody who's listening, been wondering about my nephews. Timothy is doing well. He's getting ready to start another round of chemo soon, and we should be getting some news soon about his glioblastoma and how he's doing. Vincent, on the other hand, is in Bristol, and he's in a care facility there. And day before yesterday, the nurse told him, "Your mom's going to be here to see you soon." And he kind of smiled and gave a thumbs up. I'm not going to say it was like this, but he lifted his thumb up. And, for somebody who's in a coma, that's a huge deal. So he is comprehending what is being said to him. And my sister lets me talk to him about every other day. So, we're in touch a lot. And just so that you guys know, we are going to go see them near the end of the month. And so there probably won't be any shows the week that we're gone. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, we are, please keep praying and thinking about them, because the positive energy is what they need to get well.
And prayers for all the Texas flood victims.
It's horrible. That's horrible. And I can't even imagine. It's unbelievable is what it is.
Well, we went camping on places similar to that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not far from the river, and you wouldn't even think.
And it's on a hill.
That it would flood like that.
Yeah. So, and actually tomorrow night, our guest is going to be talking about the weather and the paranormal, because that's what she's involved in. So, can't wait to hear her perspective on all of this. But, and also on a happier note, we want to say happy birthday to the original FJB, Frank J. Bennett. Today's his birthday. Frank. And I know he isn't listening probably live, but he will be listening at some point in replay. So happy birthday, Frank. I sent you a message. If you didn't get it, that's your fault. So have a great birthday, and we'll talk to you soon. And so tonight we have a guest. I had been trying to book Mike Hatcher for a little bit. We connected, then we had something happen. I think we had a trip we had to take somewhere that we weren't counting on, and I had to cancel, or he had to cancel, something along those lines. So we kept ships passing in the night. So here we are, and we're going to have Mike Hatcher on, and we're going to talk to him about how his life has changed for the better, and the paranormal, and so many other things. So you guys, welcome Mike Hatcher to the show.
Howdy.
So, Mike,
how you doing?
So before the show, you were telling us so many things. And a lot of times when people tell me stuff before the show, I feel like everybody's already heard it because I've heard it. So I'm not going to do that to you. So what got you involved in the paranormal? Let's start with that. Go back further than last year.
Well, first, I want to give condolences to your nephews. I hope they make great recoveries, and I'll definitely keep them in prayer. I haven't been on Facebook or a lot of social media, but I really honestly haven't been paying a whole lot of attention to a lot. But I just wanted to get that out of the way, because I was kind of surprised, to hear that. I haven't really been paying a whole lot of attention to much on social media anymore. But again, my condolences and prayers.
Yeah, the thing about our family stuff, it's not on social media, only because it's not my news to share.
Right.
It's more, there's a GoFundMe for my nephew. Not really a GoFundMe. My sister's doing something to help my other sister through Cash App and PayPal, because, they need the money faster than what they can get it from
right. Anywhere else,
GoFundMe.
Right?
And then somebody started a GoFundMe for my other nephew, the one that has glioblastoma, to help with their bills, because, he can't work. He's blind. He was an electrician. You can't mess around with electricity if you can't see. So, but it's all. I mean, my nephews are 36 and 29. I mean, they're not little kids, but they're not old. This is not.
Right.
And so you didn't know this, but my nephew that's in a coma had a tree fall on him. They were cleaning up storm damage in Kentucky, and he was just standing near a tree, and the tree fell. Nobody was working on this tree, just fell on him.
I
So what?
I couldn't imagine.
So what are the odds of that? I mean, the odds of just being in the wrong place at the wrong time. So it happens. So I don't know who's having the problem, if it's us or him. So, are you okay? Are you there?
I think I
Us?
lost you.
Okay. So we're
There you
good.
are.
So, but that's what's going on. It's nothing on social media, nothing for anybody to know about unless I say something about it. So,
Right.
but so what got you involved in the paranormal to start with?
Didn't mean to strike a nerve. I am sorry.
No, it's all good.
So originally I decided, well, one of the first things that really did learning how to do was interpret dreams. And that came from my dad's passing. When he passed away, I remember you lose a parent and you always have those questions. Did they love me? Am I going to be okay? Are they okay? Um, so one night after my stepfather passed away, he died of a drug overdose. I had just about to turn 21, and I had all those questions in my mind. And one night I stayed at my mom's house for the first time because I was helping her with things. And the first time I stayed the night at her house after his passing, and I remember um, watching myself sleep. I was floating over the family chaise or the chaise in the family room, and I remember looking down at myself sleeping. And to go into the house, there's a pretty much a door on a long wall. If you walk into the door, you can either go downstairs to the basement or off to the left into the kitchen. So I walk in this door and I turn left into the kitchen. And as I turned right to go into the dining room down towards the long hallway to the bathroom, the only happened, the whole dining room just turned bright white. And when that turned bright white, I saw my dad come walking down the hallway and just bright glowing around him. He walked up to me and he was young, the way I remembered him as a child. He gave me a hug, said he loved me, and said everything would be okay. And I instantly woke up. And this was, oh man, 2000. It's sad. I couldn't even tell you the year my passed away, but it was, I want to say it was about 2006. And so, there wasn't a whole lot of internet. I mean, we still had the internet, but there wasn't a whole lot of information, not a whole lot of um, sources to go to. But one of the things that always stuck out to me was, even throughout the years of still off and on studying dreams, is that when somebody comes to you in a dream, if they are meant to talk to you, that they have a message for you, they will always be surrounded by bright light, specifically. Um, so that's kind of what led me into the rabbit hole of paranormal. But what really led me into it deeper, let's just be honest, with adventures. I'm not going to sit here and lie. Um, I thought Ghost Adventures was cool. Thought I could do it, and then that led to other experiences. Um, I've had many throughout my life, but the dream was really one that was telling me, something different is out there.
Okay, and with that catalyst of, Zach Bagans and Ghost Adventures, when did you start a team? Did you find other people like-minded? How did you go about getting involved in the paranormal?
But the first team I started, it was called Investigations, and it was named after the movie. It stood for Paranormal and Abnormal Urban Legends. And so the guy that I started it with was actually my boss where I was working at the time. And it was just something fun we wanted to do. We wanted to stick to just resident. It's funny thinking about it now. Was when I had these ideas. Essentially, my goal was to market ourselves to real estate agents so that we could investigate homes for sale because their life savings into a house and it's apart. There's dark forces. So that was my original goal in the paranormal, was to just say, hey, don't sell this house. It's demonic, you know?
Yeah.
And I kind of drifted away from it after that for a while. And Dead Republic was the first team I got into after that, when John Ward approached me about filming it.
Hey, Mike. Mike, can you hear me? So, guys, I may have to reschedule this show because, hey, Mike,
shut it down.
Yeah.
Can you go out and come back in and see if that works? Because
it's like it's gotten worse.
It's like you're dropping.
Yeah, let me try that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
it started off really good.
Yeah.
Well, even before the show, and it's just gotten worse.
So, yeah, we're sorry, everybody. We know that sometimes technical difficulties happen, and technically, there's not much more difficult than me sometimes. But yeah, I don't want you guys to have to go through that. So we're going to try to get Mike back here in a second, and in the meantime, make sure you guys join us tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Central for Paranormal Nation Radio Not So Normal. We're going to have on Natalie Kreider. We've had her on in the past on Paranormal Nation Radio, and she is a storm chaser as well as a paranormal investigator, just like our friends Mike and Susan. So I'd like for you guys to come back and hear about that. She's said that some of the teams that she's working with are down in Texas right now, so maybe we'll hear a different perspective on all of it. Don't know, but we all know that whatever's going on down there, no matter what you've heard or seen, it's all horrible. So keep that in mind. But yeah, keep those people in your prayers. But it'll be interesting to talk to Natalie. When we had her on before, she lived in Topeka. I know this way Carl's going to remember who she is. She moved back to down south of St. Louis and got involved with the paranormal there some more, and she's a tarot card reader and a few other things. So there he is. We can try this again. Yeah, looks clearer already.
I don't know.
Okay. So
I mean, as soon as I clicked out, it was weird. It started making some weird glitching noise. I mean, I did break my good phone, so I'm on an iPhone 11. So that that could be it.
It could be, but you know what? We'll try to finish the show. But if it starts glitching up again, we'll probably just have to reschedule you for another day, because I don't want. It's nothing is more annoying than trying to have somebody talk and then going. Bleh.
Which is weird, because that doesn't happen to me very often.
No, it doesn't usually happen.
I was going to say, before the show, it started off perfect, and then it just got worse. I was like, just try redoing.
So there
sometimes
you go.
That helps.
So
yeah, you're good now.
So you were talking about being on your second team. The first team was the one with your that you got involved with your boss from a previous job, and then you got involved with a second team. So what was the second team?
That one was when I started diving a lot heavier into it. That was Dead Republic Paranormal. Um, John Ward had approached me about filming a documentary, and that's when I really, dove into it a lot heavily and a lot more.
And what was the name of the documentary that you did?
That was Sleepless in Salamanca. Right now, I don't even know if that's available to be viewed anywhere anymore.
Hmm. And do you have another documentary
Anything
out there?
good happen there?
We had some. That was an interesting investigation, to be honest. Um, we had some decent things happen in the documentary. There were a few times where um, Marcus would hear some things audibly that nobody else could hear that were actually picked up on camera audio. We believe we captured an apparition of a little child at the top of the stairs on the second, or the bottom of the stairs on the second floor. Um, that was a very spiritual documentary for me as well. I'm sure you guys remember Jeremy Griffin from You and I Research. I don't know if you've done work with them,
No, I
with
haven't.
John Griffin, Jeremy Griffin. Um, my stepdad actually came to Jeremy while we were filming this documentary and kind of gave some messages to me, which was weird because I had never met Jeremy until that moment. I never spoke to him, didn't know anything about him, and he was able to give me messages from my dad. But yeah, we after that I ended up filming three more documentaries with another team, Beyond the Dimensions. We did Mansfield Reformatory, S.K. Pierce Mansion. That one never got released. Hinsdale House and Wildwood Sanitarium.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I looked
And then
up
we also did
Sleepless
Wilson
in,
Castle.
yeah, when I looked up Sleepless in Salamanca, it came up with something about Wildwood Sanitarium. Is that where it's at?
Yeah.
Okay, so something came up. I don't know if you can see it or not, but if you look it up, it at least tells you about it.
Yes,
So,
if it is available anywhere, I own all the rights to it. I remember taking it down. Um, I believe it might be on YouTube. I don't honestly don't. I mean, it's cool, it's good. I'm glad we did it, but I just kind of threw it to the side and don't care about it.
oh, well, sometimes our earlier stuff isn't as important as our later stuff when we're much smarter and more
It's
mature.
it's that's the problem with me is I was very immature. I wasn't who I let this field turn me into somebody I wasn't, and that's why I left.
So, so when you say that, what do you mean?
Oh, I was swallowed in pride and ego. I let everything get to my head. Um, it even here at home, my marriage was falling apart. I was putting too much time into something that was giving very little return, um, pushing away what was most important, and it this meant more to me than anything else. So
And so, how did you get everything back on track?
leave the paranormal.
Are you getting back
No, it was a
paranormal
lot of it
now?
was. It wasn't necessarily leaving everything. It was taking a break, taking a step back, getting sober, because that was my number one. I won't lie to everybody. Every film that you see me in, I was drunk or buzzed. Um, I couldn't film without having alcohol. Um,
Hmm.
that's kind of why I don't share a lot of my early work. Is debunk it. I was buzzed or drunk. That was me. Um,
Mhm.
but that's I had to do a lot of self reflecting. I had to let go of a lot of anger. I had to deal with my past. I had to cut off my mom, forgive my like it was a whole lot. It's been a whole process in the last 2 years. Um, but it's been worth it to this point.
That's the important part is, I mean, your marriage is good now, right? Mostly?
It's still got its, I mean, ups and downs. When I was younger, I was diagnosed as manic depressant, PTSD, bipolar, and so I've been living my life. I refuse to take meds. I refuse to take pills for any of it, and I never have. But I started trying to really just deal with the depression because I learned to understand it. I learned to deal with it and just kind of live my life with it. But I ended up finding like I go to therapy now, which is something I swore I'd never do, but I'll tell you what, it's been worth it. So I go to therapy now, and I was diagnosed as BPD. He goes, "You don't have depression. You're borderline personality disorder, um, which is misdiagnosed in children.
Mm-hmm.
Children get diagnosed as depressed when really they could have something else." But that's what I was told for me. I'm not saying that's everybody. Um,
Right.
so now I'm learning what that is and learning to understand it, which comes down to learning triggers, catching patterns, correcting them in the moment instead of letting them build. And that's very hard for somebody who has used alcohol as a crutch to handle these emotions for 25 years, So trying to quit drinking and handle these new emotions and well, they're not new emotions, but I'm handling emotions that I've never dealt with sober. So I went into hiding for a while. I didn't care. Yeah,
Well, you got to do what you got to do. I mean, you're self-medicating for a reason, and at
the
least now you
addiction.
know what the reason is. Yeah.
It was the addiction. I watched my stepfather pass away from an opioid overdose, and I swore that was something I would never do. Um, the first time I was diagnosed as manic depressant, I was on meds, and when I noticed I began abusing those, I quit. Um, when I moved to Pittsburgh, I lived in Pittsburgh for school, and that brought out the worst in me. I had
It brings out the worst in everybody. Pittsburgh is a horrible place.
it was a very
I'm sorry.
very bad place. It
Being from Baltimore, we have an instant hate of Pittsburgh. I'm just saying. It's just
Yeah,
Baltimore, Pittsburgh, never good.
um, but I formed a very small opioid. I can't say very small. Any addiction is big. I did have an opioid addiction when I lived in Pittsburgh. Um, that was something I was able to kick very easily. I don't know how I did that one. I just did. Um, but the drinking's been it's been tougher. It's definitely been tougher. It's made me real notice who I've been, who I really want to be, and I think that's why I'm getting a lot back into the paranormal now. Is I want to go back to who I was when I first got into it, even with Dead Republic. Um,
Yeah.
when Dead Republic first put out our first documentary, I was out helping people film. I was giving people film rights and my documentary ideas. And I mean, I kind of called them out for it there in the end. And, because I felt like I wasn't getting anything else in return.
Yeah.
But after a lot of reflection, I realized that just mere jealousy. There's nothing else I can say about it. Um, but now after the documentary, I was nominated, for the Higgy Pop Awards, whatever, as a mentor in the field. I've been a mentor. I've helped people. Um, I want to go back to that. I want to be, that person again. And um, it's definitely made me read people better and know
Mhm.
who I don't want to work with and won't work with. Um, not saying I won't forgive anybody. I don't care if they forgive me, but um, I've just been able to read a lot of people better. I
Well,
feel
there
like I'm
are some
rambling.
people.
Sorry.
No, no, I mean, you're right. There are some people in the field and that do take advantage of the
Abuse and
situation.
yeah.
Yeah, and I've seen it. Um, and I'll tell you, there have been times where we were treated like crap. Well, I was treated like crap because I was on Ghost Adventures. So was he. Nobody treated him bad, but because I got to be seen and talked to, they treated me badly. Some not only did they treat me badly, some people tried to use us to do stuff, and it's like you can't do that. And of course, we knew we could read people, you know, but there are people out there that will take advantage of you, and if they knew that what your weakness was, they would draw on it. More than
Mhm.
likely, you probably had people that tried to keep you buzzed or worse at any given time.
There were.
And I have to say, alcohol addiction is one of the hardest to beat because it's so available and it's
Hmm.
legal.
It's legal because it's cheap to make.
Yeah.
That's why it's cheap.
I mean, some people can drink every day and never ever be addicted to it, but I don't know if they know that. I don't know if they know if they're not addicted or not.
So I think that was me. I didn't have a limit. I I'm surprised I didn't take it to work. I'm not saying that I never have, because I'll tell you what, it's easy to hide in coffee. Um, but I've done it.
Yeah.
I became functioning. And one of the things that I had to do, especially for me, the hardest part about not drinking are the summers. Nothing was better because I work outside, so I'm always in the sun. Nothing was better to me than coming home and just a crisp, cold summer or orange shandy after a 90-degree day. Like, I loved it. So there are things like that that I do miss, and but for me, it came down to patterning. Um, one of the things about me that is my toxic trait, and I tell my wife this because she hates it. I bounce from job to job a lot because I hate monotony. I hate monotonous crap. So if any job that I have to have multiple ways to get there. I
Mm-hmm.
cannot drive the same route every day or I will hang myself. So um, I had to learn to find different ways around that did not pass me by a grocery store or a gas station. Even if that meant taking a half hour, 40-minute drive home, that would only be 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I had to work that into my brain. Is it's so much easier for me to take the shorter way home and pass 5 gas stations and 2 grocery stores, or you know what? Take half an hour longer, listen to some good music, cruise, and pass none of them, and just get home.
Is
I
it
had to do
because those
that.
places when you say that you're saying that because you would want to stop?
Hmm.
So
It's
we
that
do have a
you'd want
question.
it. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
we do have a question from from one of our listeners, Kat Gash. She's a friend of ours. She says, "Have you ever been to a haunted location that moved you so emotionally that you'll never return to it,
Emotionally, that I won't return. Hmm.
or fearfully made you fear for your life, made you question everything?
I
What
mean, there specific location, no. But I will say, uh, one of the ones that really got me, and I really have yet to determine if it's actual or not, but it's the upstairs to the entire upstairs, excuse me, the entire upstairs of the Monroe house. Um,
Okay.
I don't know what it is about that. I I actually had an attachment from the main spirit in the blue room in the back of the house for the longest time. Um, Now the upstairs, there are what seem to be children, but to me, I don't feel children. I never have. Um, so in the field, when I was heavily in it, I was known as the protector. I have had multiple children spirits come to me. I actually have two of them attached to me that don't leave my house. Well, I can't say they don't leave my house. I'm sure they do. I can't control them. But I do have spirits here that come and go. Um, Two that are the most distinct. One, I cannot get her name, and the other one is Emily. I'm sure you've heard a lot about Emily. Um, but
We've
because
never
of
been to
the
the house.
Uh-uh.
Yeah, we've never
oh,
been there, and I've never
Emily's a spirit
interviewed
attached to
anybody there.
me. Oh, really? Um,
Mhm.
but so the upstairs is I hear children. I'm told they're children. But I don't feel that they're children, and because that I am a protector of children in I guess the spirit, whatever they call it. Um, I have to protect myself in that upstairs so that they do not attach themselves to me. So last time I was there, funny story, I was the only one in the house. Everybody left me, and I had to use the bathroom really bad. And it was the only bathroom upstairs. So I had to drive around town to find an open bathroom because all the stores, this was around COVID too, all the
Mhm.
stores were closed. I could not
Mm.
find a place to go to the bathroom. That's how much I will not go to the upstairs of Monroe House by myself.
But I'll tell you, during the COVID time, we were concerned about those kinds of things too, about where would we go if we had to go when everything
Right.
was closed.
Hmm.
So we get that part. So, and Kat said that she calls the spirits that come and go from her house transients. So she's got some as well.
I
So
don't know what I'd call mine. Mine could be hitchhike. I have so many mirrors. As you can see, I got like all that one, that one. That one's got a Ouija board behind it. That one.
okay.
This one, I cannot tell you what it. I could tell you it was made out of coal. I can't remember what location it's from, but I actually can't. Don't think I can even say. Yeah, because that was a big legal issue.
Oh,
Uh, but yeah, I have mirrors all over. I make scrying mirrors. Charge them. Yeah,
it's always interesting to hear what other people kind of collect. So so you apparently you collect mirrors or you make scrying mirrors. So do you collect any other paranormal type stuff?
I did for a while. I got rid of a lot of my dolls. Um, I mean, I can just let's just do this. Let me see. Where's my phone charging? 70%. Cool.
Yeah, you're
I'll just
probably
unplug
good.
it. I have quite a little bit around. I downsized a lot of my stuff. Don't mind this. It's we're doing housework. Um, but I can just show you a little bit. A lot, not a lot of it, I would say, is paranormal. I collect items, antiques, objects. Um, like this, for instance. This is I found this in the house we lived in prior. That is Oswald Rabbit.
Yes,
I
I
don't know if
remember that.
anybody. He's who inspired Mickey Mouse. He was one of the first Disney cartoons. Um, what's funny about it is it was actually made in my hometown. Not my hometown, but right next door to us. Now, of course, I a lot of family stuff I collect. My grandparents, I have their diplomas. This is more family stuff, of course. TB needles with real blood on them.
Oh,
Um, some of this stuff I do, like this lamp, this one here, this lamp, that lamp over there, that white one that you see,
mm-hmm.
uh, this chair, these came in this picture. These actually came from, there used to be a haunted location out here in this area. It was called Farnham Manor. Um, they closed and they're, they got bought out. The whole Bill property got bought out, but it's owned by a construction company now. And when they closed down, I went to school with the guy whose parents were running it. And when they lost the keys to the property, property, he pretty much said, "Hey, come bring your truck. Whatever you fit in it, you can have." So yeah, I got some stuff from that property. And of course, this is just some minor little stuff that I've collected. That's Emily. I was just talking about her a little bit ago. This is her stuff. She's not attached to the doll. She is not the doll. The doll is in resemblance of her because
Okay.
Emily does have blonde hair and blue eyes. Um, I've been trying to find a doll maker that can actually create the clothes that I've seen. I've seen Emily with my eyes, so I know what she's wearing, and I would love
Yeah.
to just create this doll. Uh, let's see what else. I just random stuff. Enema needle, the enema needle.
Oh, that looks like
I
fun.
don't. I don't. Yeah,
Don't
I
carry it
collect
in your
random
car.
stuff.
Yeah,
It's
don't carry that in your car.
not.
That's when you get pulled over by the police.
Oh, I don't. Word of advice. Yeah, I travel. I flew to LAX. I flew into LAX with a suitcase full of coffee. Trust me, that was the worst experience of my life.
Oh, I
Of
bet.
my life.
Because
Wow.
they were looking for
Talk
cocaine in
about
that
getting
coffee, weren't
searched.
they?
Mhm.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah. Worst mistake. Never fly at LAX with coffee. Mm-mm.
No, mail it. You're better off.
Thankfully, I didn't get strip searched, but they kept telling me that my bags were setting off the explosive alarm. How? Beyond me. But
I
I
think
got home.
sometimes they pull shit out of their ass, and they because
Tell him it was a laxative.
yeah,
Not coffee.
it's not coffee. It's a laxative.
I
But
actually do have this, and if I don't know if any of your viewers, you're an intuitive. Um, this is. I'll show this. She is covered right now, and there's a reason she's covered, and she's in a glass case. Now, I'm not going to say she's demonic. I'm not going to say she's anything evil. I just don't have enough answers. This is the one that refuses to tell me her name. Um, I don't. My wife doesn't like it, and we actually believe she's part of the problem in our marriage because when I covered her up, a lot of the issues stopped. When I uncovered her, a lot of the issues started up again, and now she's covered, and we've been kind of better.
So where'd you get it
Um, our
from?
anniversary trip 4 years ago, I found her at an antique store in Gatlinburg.
that's the problem. Yeah.
Yeah, my wife doesn't like her. So yeah, she stays covered just for my wife's
I,
sake.
not only that, I think you need to cover the whole thing, and you need to get rid of her.
Somebody told me plastic, not glass.
Hey, Renee,
Hey, Renee.
I say what you probably need to do. Well, I think her name is Anna. Just saying, let me know.
Yeah, I'm
I
surprised.
I
Wonder
can't.
what cat
She won't
got it.
tell me.
She might if you say the right name.
That's possible.
But
That's true.
the other thing is if you keep encouraging her, you're going to ruin your marriage. So I'd say that you need to do something to yeah, like Kat says, Gatlinburg was a huge area of spiritual activity because of the Civil War. But Gatlinburg is got all kinds of weird shit going on there. I mean, you got all this Christian stuff, and then you've got sex shops right behind, it's all
Yeah,
Christian here. Back here, there's a sex shop. So, it's weird.
which
Um,
is weirdly popping up everywhere.
hmm
It's gross. It's everywhere.
hmm And that's not what you would think about when you're in Gatlinburg. You think family friendly and everything else. And I don't know. It's
And
just
and
kind of
and
weird.
what's the most ironic about it is we had gone to, oh geez, probably about three or four other antique stores prior to this one, and
Mm-hmm.
I just I like to walk around, maybe feel the energy, see what attracts me. But this instantly, as soon as I walked in those doors, I followed it up to the third. This was a three floor antique mall.
Mm-hmm.
I followed it all the way up three flights.
Was it that one that looks like a big barn?
Yes. Because if I could still find her card, they wanted me to investigate it.
I know some. See, I know somebody who lives in the area, Nick White, and he could probably give us a lot of information about that.
Huh.
I,
Yeah,
I'm
because
supposed to have him on.
it's like a slate gray barn.
Mm-hmm.
Like the outsides, they sell like outside stuff. It's all cluttered. You'd think
Mm-hmm.
it was a junkyard.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one I bought her in.
Yeah.
Huh.
It just kind of. I mean, it's strange because I mean,
Because
I
it was
don't pay attention.
right down the road, there's a vacant house that it's a big white house. I remember driving by it. My wife and I looked it up, and I was like, man, I'd love to get into that house,
Yeah,
but I don't remember the
because
information on it.
it's right before you get to Gatlinburg.
It's like
It's
as you
not
pull into Gatlinburg, like it's the
okay.
first main strip. I think it's by the Titanic, not far from the Titanic.
Okay, I know where exactly which one
Yep.
that is.
The
We
antique
walked.
store.
We
Yeah.
walk that area the whole. When we go, we park. We go to our hotel. We park. We walk everywhere. We don't drive anywhere until we're ready to leave because you're sitting in traffic. So, but hey, Crystal, we do have some more questions, and I'm gonna go back to this one. James James
Hey,
asks, "What is the significance of the mirrors in the paranormal?"
Mirrors are significant in anything. So one of the things that I'm actually diving into and learning a little bit more about mirrors now is self-reflection as opposed to anything else. When I was using Pigeon Forge, yes, Tom, it's Pigeon Forge right
yeah,
outside
Yeah,
pigeon forge.
Gatlinburg. Yes,
that's why I said just before.
yep, Pigeon Forge because I think that's where we camped in the Smokies.
Yeah, there's a nice campground there
Hmm.
right before you, in between Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge, and there's like you come in, there's this from Gatlinburg, there's this campground, and then the next thing you're in a gas station with a Bojangles. So
I don't remember that precisely.
no, only reason I know that is because we got gas there, and I made him take me to Bojangles because Bojangles was a big thing, and when I was growing up, we didn't
Yeah,
have Popeyes in Maryland. We had Bojangles. Everybody else
I
had
had
Popeyes.
churches.
We had churches too, but more.
um,
But yeah,
but
Bojangles was big.
mirrors are really they're said to be portals. It's everything in this field comes down to intent, how you want to use it. Myself, when I would use mirrors, it's not about looking at yourself, it's about looking past yourself and really kind of seeing getting setting your intent, seeing what you want to focus on, whether it be who you're talking to. You in the right state of mind and intentions, you can see. It's like looking into a crystal ball. um, One of the things that I stopped doing now that I have gotten a lot more closer with God is I stopped using mirrors to talk to ghosts. I stopped using mirrors to try and um, communicate with the other side. Now it's more of a matter of I'm learning how to meditate in front of a mirror while looking at myself and just really reflect and see what it is God wants me to see, or let it come from Him, not anything else. But um, mirrors are a powerful tool if used properly. Let's just put it that way.
And then Tom McNicholas asks, if the doll is inhabited by a spirit, how does the glass case or plastic protect you?
We're conditioned to believe that. Honestly, no, there's no definitive answer to. I mean, look at Annabelle, the most haunted doll in the world, just sits behind the glass. I don't.
Let's go allegedly the most haunted doll in the world.
Right, allegedly the most
Because none of
correct.
us have witnessed anything from it other than what other people have said. And I'd like to say hello to Matt. Thank you for listening. And Cheryl Ann, hey, how are you? And grateful that you're all here. You guys have any questions for the guests, please ask. But yeah, the Annabelle
It's
story
again,
is a legend.
it's an it's another it's everything. It comes down to intent. The more you put your thought and your emotions into it, it's what you believe of it. Um, when what's ironic is when I was doing paranormal the most, this room, I could tell you how haunted it was. I could tell you the energy. Um, there are days that or nights where there is something heavy out here, like something does visit. Because my wife will feel it. My wife, she's not into the paranormal. Um, it'll make us feel like we're unwanted. Like I get pushed out of here constantly,
Mm-hmm.
but there's also times where I'll come out here and I'll run EVPs and I'll get nothing. I've stopped putting so much energy into talking to them and doing what I did that it kind of disappeared.
Yeah.
I didn't put any thought into it for the longest time, and now it's just kind of gone.
Having family reunion here tonight.
Yeah.
We got my cousins, Ron's cousins, his mom. Soon to be my sisters will probably show up. So
All right, which
welcome
ones are
everyone.
from which ones are from Virginia? I couldn't get that out right.
Well, my cousin Crystal, her family's from Virginia.
Yep.
We loved it out there. I can't remember where we went. I want to say because you said Bristol, and I want to say it's Bristol we went to. We was it last year? We got an Airbnb in the mountain. We go to the mountains every year for anniversary. Most gorgeous, gorgeous. I want to say it was Bristol. I might be wrong, but that sounds right. But it was gorgeous. We went out there,
Yep, it is a party, Renee. So
and
yeah, and
that was one of the coolest experiences. My wife and I were sitting on the river. It was so quiet, and we were looking at. I was looking at the mountains, like just the whole back, and the row of trees that were separating the houses behind us. And out of nowhere, I'm watching the sky and watching the mountain. This huge bald eagle just turned the corner and just flew, and it perched up on the tree for a little bit. And I remember watching it, and then literally like a couple seconds later, it just flew down like over my wife and I as we're just sitting on the water. It was the coolest. Wasn't that in Bristol? Where did we go to in Virginia? Luray, Virginia.
Luray.
Yes.
Okay, well you should have went to the caverns there. They're very haunted.
I don't try and mix. See, my wife, I love my wife, but when we go on
They're so
vacation,
beautiful.
she tries to book haunted things for us to go and do too, and I'm just like, no, this is like when we just went to West Virginia, she wanted to do a tour of Trans Allegheny,
Yeah.
and I'm like, that's not what I want to do for my anniversary. No, like I appreciate that you want to do something for me, but I
It
honestly
is a
could care
very
less.
neat it is a very neat building and
Yeah.
a great it's got some really great history tours as well. But Luray Caverns, it was used during the Civil War to hide people. And it was one of those places that my mom always said, I'm going to take you, I'm going to take you, I'm going to take you. And we never went. So it's one of those places that growing up in the 70s, everybody took their kids to just about. So,
Huh.
and I did not know it was haunted until probably 10 years ago when somebody said something to me about it. But again, I've never been there, so I don't know for sure that it is. So, but it's someplace that I'd like to go, but it's going to be too far from where we're going. So,
I think she mentioned that because the Ray Caverns does sound familiar, but it's not something I really looked into.
yeah. So, Cat says Trans Allegheny is absolutely a haunted location, but for those that go, please have respect.
It's
So,
on my bucket list of things to do, and I had the opportunity to go last week, and it's not
and
what
you
I want to do
screwed
on
it
an
all
anniversary.
up. we drove by there. We went to Gettysburg back in 2017, and we were driving down to Eastern Kentucky, and we're driving through, and there's a sign that says Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum this way. And so
And I said, "Oh, we got to stop."
Yep. So we drove back there, and we got in there, and there was no tour until 4 o'clock, and we couldn't wait that long, so we had to
wow.
leave. But we found out that it
Yeah,
was
their
only
timings were weird.
it was, if we had come through later and didn't have to be someplace, we probably would have stayed and did an evening tour. But it just wasn't going to happen, So now we got to find time to get back up that way, because back then when we did that, we lived in Kansas and we went to Eastern Kentucky a lot. And I haven't been back to
Right.
Eastern
Yeah.
Kentucky since 2017.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. We'll be out that way in 2 weeks, taking the kids to Jellystone.
Oh, where's that at?
Oh, I don't know what part of Kentucky.
Oh,
My wife knows those details. I don't. I just tell
yeah.
her what to book and where to go, and I give her
I've
the
heard of
ideas
it.
and she books it.
Me too. And that's the thing. I don't remember where it is. But yeah, my family's in Pikeville, Kentucky. So
Pikeville.
yeah,
That's really strange because I think mine is too.
The Hatfields and McCoys area.
I don't know.
What'd you get at the
I'd have to
Hinsdale
look.
house? What'd
Oh,
you
the
come up
Hinsdale
with there?
house. Oh, that was a spiritual. That was a very, very spiritual investigation. That went for when we filmed there. That went from um, just a normal documentary filming to I do believe that one's actually available on YouTube. Hinsdale House. Um, if not, I know Mansfield Reformatory is, but
Oh,
Hinsdale House
that's great.
that that went from a normal paranormal investigative documentary to a full blown like spiritual um, warfare between myself and whatever was on that property at the time. Um, so many things were happening all at once in that location. Um, we were all being affected in one way or another. Jason, Ashley, and myself, along with other members of UNI research. But yeah, I remember there was one point we were there. We were filming in the living room, and you just heard knocks from all different parts of the house
Mm-hmm.
outside. And we're out and
Yep.
we're snow. It's snow. So John and I, we go out there. There's no footprints. There's nothing around. Not even deer. There's nothing. Um, it became more of the, like I said, this spiritual, draining energy. To the point that the next day we went to film Wildwood Sanitarium, and we had absolutely nothing happen because of how Wildwood Sanitarium is and how, in my belief, I have a lot of connection with Wildwood because that's where I always go. I've been there so many times. That when we filmed Hinsdale, it became such a spiritual warfare that Wildwood Sanitarium, being a holistic healing facility, um, we believe that the doctors, their spirits actually came to Hinsdale to protect us and knew that because we were on our way to Wildwood, we were going to be mentally and spiritually drained. So they let us rest. They left us alone. Um, in all the footage, we had not even one EVP to the point it never got released. Um, so it's weird how those locations work. Especially the Hinsdale and Wildwood, I believe they're somehow connected that a lot of people don't know or don't investigate into enough. But um, I believe it's a lot deeper than the fact that Dan owns one and works with the other.
Yeah, I know it's much more than that. In fact, Dan is going to be coming on the show in August, most likely.
I love
So
Dan.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Mhm.
We met him in Alton, Illinois, but a friend of ours,
Don't
Coyote
let his
Chris
sarcasm
Sutton.
get to you too much.
You don't know me yet, do
Dan's
you?
sarcasms.
I tell everybody my first language is
Yeah, we've had
sarcasm.
him on.
My second language is English, so it's hard to get past. But no, our friend Coyote Chris went there, and he went to go into the house and was drawn to the woods.
Hinsdale, yeah.
And then not only, and then another guy, Brett Yamabuchi, he went there as well and lost time while he was in the woods. Him and somebody else was, timing them, and they said that their equipment only said that they were gone for 45 minutes, but the clocks said that they were gone for more than 2 hours. So something was wrong somewhere, and he was with Chuck Banks, and I believe Chuck Banks 100% that they didn't do anything they didn't change their, you can't change the time on electronic watches. I mean, at least not by the minutes. You can by changing the time zone, but you can't change it by minutes. So it's kind of weird. But yeah, it's a really interesting. There you go. Tom McNicholas says the pond at Hinsdale is super creepy at night.
That's because that's where they found all the graves.
And then Tom also says he felt the same thing about the two places.
Yeah, Hinsdale and Wildwood. I believe there's a lot more. In my honesty, there's a documentary I would love to film that I put on the back burner. I really put on hold because it will literally or could potentially destroy a lot of a specific location.
Then you may
You
not
really
want to
gotta
say it.
no, you just gotta be smart and think outside the box on I did a so I'm a big conspiracy theorist, I won't lie. What is going on right now? This isn't the first time it's happened. Um, COVID's not the first time this happened. You see what was happening with COVID, where hospitals were making money for diagnosing COVID.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Same thing happened with
Everything
tuberculosis.
exactly. Now look at a specific location and what they promote happened there. None of that could be accurate if it's coming from a holistic healing center, because holistic healing centers never would have used or done lobotomies, never would have used electric battery baths. Um, they weren't forced to stay open like a lot of people believe. They went in it for the money from the government, and that's what about 90% of these TB hospitals did. It was money.
Oh yeah.
It was a cash grab.
Yeah.
And that's again another one of those things that people don't want to believe because we're conditioned to
Well,
believe everybody was treated horribly.
we were talking about that the other day. We said, how long did they do this electric shock therapy that never worked? But how many years did they continue to do it? It had to have
Right.
been for money. I said that they should have stopped.
Well, it wasn't just that.
They just kept going.
You did have some of these holistic centers that were doing stuff, as in the Crescent Hotel in Eureka Springs. They were
I'm not
supposedly
saying every
holistic,
doctor's
but that
innocent.
doctor. Oh no!
Yeah, the doctor
No,
was.
this doctor was a. He wasn't a
nut
doctor.
job.
He wasn't. Brown wasn't even a doctor,
Mm-hmm.
but he was taking people's money, telling them that he was going to make them well with the water.
Right. Because if you look up what
and other things.
like you look up what they did to cure TB, what they did, it was sunlight, it was rest, it was get outside, fresh air, oxygen, not a TB, not a electric battery bath, not it would have never been any of that.
Taking ribs out.
No.
Right.
Well, taking ribs out was one of the things that they might have done
while they're still awake.
Yeah, some of that was psychiatric treatments. And I think sometimes people get, they go, okay, well, it was a TB clinic and then it was a psychiatric care center. And I think they get the histories mixed up a little in there too.
There's some locations I've never even found documentation of ever being a psych facility.
And
So
the thing is that's one of the things that we fought a lot was misinformation in the paranormal,
it's forced
misinformation in
stories
history.
and right,
Yeah, legend versus the
right.
truth. And we dealt with that at the Sally House. We were the tour guides there for 7 years. And when
I would have loved to
when the
go there.
new
I'll tell you what. I don't believe I'm sorry, but I do not believe that that is the real girl. I remember reading into the
it's not.
story, but I can't pinpoint it or what was
So
her name? Sarah?
Sally,
Sally. There, you just said it.
yeah.
But yeah.
So needless to say, there was a lot of legends. And I would tell people when they would come in the house, they would go, "Well, where's Sally?" And I was like, "Don't know."
If we knew, we'd tell you.
Right.
And I tell them, I would tell them the truth. Okay, people know me for telling the truth. I did research. I have thousands of pages of research that I've done on that house, on the truth, and I never could find death records for anybody named Sally or Elizabeth or anything that even came remotely close to the story that they told. But that's the thing. The stories, these fake stories, sell
Mm-hmm.
when the truth is so much better
Well,
than the legends.
when we were doing the tours, we would have kids come in the house. We wouldn't have a lot of them, but they'd come upstairs. They would go in the master bedroom into the closet, and for the heck of it, I'd say, "You want the door shut?" Well, most of the time they say, "Yeah." They'd shut the closet door. They'd be in there talking to somebody, and when they came out, I said, "Who are you talking to?" Some said they were talking to a little boy. Some said they were talking to a little girl. And we got to know Deb and Tony Pickman that used to live there in the Sally house. And that's where they come up with the little girl, because that's what Tony said he saw and drew the picture. Everybody goes, "Do you think he really saw a little girl?" And I said, "Yeah, I actually think that's what he saw.
But
But that's not really what it was."
It was masked. And I believe it was something much more sinister. And I'm not going to say it was a demon because I don't know. I don't know the difference between a bad person and a demon. All I
Nobody
know is
does.
that I left that house, I don't know how many
Yeah,
times,
it was a
with
different place
scratches on me. They would tell the story that there's a little girl in the house that hates men. Then why did I get attacked?
every time.
He never got attacked.
No.
Carl did once, twice maybe. But other than that, I was always, it didn't matter when we were there. It seemed like I was
We
always,
saw other people got scratched.
Yeah.
One guy got the living crap scratched out of him.
But the
See,
thing
some of
is
mine I can tell the energy. I can pick up pretty well if it's female or male, just based upon the energy.
Yeah.
I
But
think
again,
that whatever this
it just comes
was,
down to constant recycled stories. You know, you don't know what's
is. And that was the thing, is that there were stupid stories. And I'll tell you what got me started was we went to the house for our very first walkthrough. We walk in, they take our ticket, and there's little signs on the wall that says what happened in this location. Really stupid signs from a paranormal team that had been in there 20 years ago. Okay? So they never updated it with anything new. But we're standing at the top of the stairs to the basement, and there's a sign that said, "A woman fell to her death on these stairs." And it's like, okay, I can prove that.
Yeah, no record.
I can prove if that happened or not. So I went home and I spent a week researching stuff. Couldn't find anything, but eventually I did. But again, I found out that nobody fell to their death on those steps. There was nothing. But that's what got me started in researching every detail about the people who built the house itself, and anybody who had lived there. And
the upstairs steps, maybe.
Yeah, the upstairs steps, because of the
we
carpeting.
almost saw some people do that.
I got pushed down those stairs once, but yeah, it's carpeting on steps is horrible. We all know that.
See, And that's actually
Maryland.
a good thing to bring up, especially within this field. It doesn't. I want to let people know that it doesn't just happen in the paranormal field. It happens with people in everyday lives that don't even understand the paranormal or know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
One of the last investigations I did was actually a residential in Columbus, Ohio. And I can't tell a lot of details because it was actually it was an open investigation. Um, so I got a couple good friends together and we went down to this location. We had been reached out. We had been getting stories left and right from people about, what was happening, what was going on. One of the tenants in this apartment ended up having to leave, going on psychiatric evaluation, having to take meds, having to do this, we had to pretty much beg him to help us. He did eventually come to the property, but we did this investigation, and they're going on with these. They're talking about hearing all these noises, hearing things. This kid's mental health's deteriorating, and hearing all the stories, like I said, I can't tell much about it. Just it was an investigation. I don't know if it is anymore, but I left the next morning. I told the team to pack up. I was like, we don't need to be here. I did a solo in the main area of the house that had the haunting where the incident happened. I got absolutely nothing. We were getting zero EVPs. We were getting nothing. And so what I did is next that morning when I made the decision, I went outside and I was actually drinking my coffee on the front porch, which is something I don't normally do. And I'm drinking my coffee and I'm looking around at the neighborhood and I'm recollecting what the owner of this property is telling me and recollecting what other guys telling me about his mental health. And the area is a shithole. It's
Mm-hmm.
run
Mm-hmm.
down. It's depressed. It's full of depression. You got the owner of the property telling other tenants what happened in the property. And these are your friends that you're renting to, who's going and telling other friends, going and telling other friends. And you're wondering why this property is not being rented out. You're wondering why your tenants are
Yeah.
moving. I was like, we don't need to be here. This isn't haunted. Stop talking about the issue. Open some windows, let some light in. This is a very depressed area.
Mm-hmm.
I left.
Paint it and spray some lilac spray, and everything will be great.
Right, right. Stop telling the story about what happened, and your property will be fine because there's nothing here. So,
We,
just a little
we
quick story
had,
on how it does happen.
yeah, we had one of our friends is she's a real estate agent, and she's paranormal. She is an intuitive, so she's involved in the paranormal. She sent me a message one day and said, "I don't know what to do. I got to get this house sold, and I got to get it sold quick." She goes, "But I think it's haunted." I said, "You know what? Won't hurt. Go in there and say the Lord's Prayer, spray some lilac spray, and say whatever's in here that's negative, you need to get out, and you need to get out now." And I said, "You'll sell your house in 3 days." She sold the house in 3 days.
That's always
So
good. That
she now does
that
that in every empty house. And
that
she
would tell
says,
me that from what I've been learning a lot, especially with getting a lot closer with it, my relationship with Christ. She's living a good path. I can tell you that. Um, that is one of the reasons why I really took a step back from paranormal and did a whole lot of reflecting. Is um, the Lord says, "Don't do His work when you're full of sin." I'm out there telling people I'm saving ghosts, I'm freeing ghosts, I'm getting rid of demons while I'm, an alcoholic, while I'm
"Oh, you
doing
have your own
terrible
demon."
things. Right. And that doesn't make me a man of God. That doesn't make my word anything. That God's not listening to me if I'm out there trying to get rid of these spirits while I myself am full of sin and judgment. And God tells you not to do that. Are you allowed to be a paranormal investigator and be a Christian, believe in God? Absolutely. Are you allowed to be an exorcist or a demonologist in this field um, and believe in God? Absolutely. But if you are doing it full of sin, judgment, He's not listening.
If you're doing it for your own glory and not the glory of God,
And for
then
money. And that's
you're
why I
doing it
left.
for the wrong reason.
That's why I left.
So, well, I'm going to tell you, I am very happy to have met you, especially now that you're sober. We were probably friends before, and I didn't know it. So
You might have liked me better when I was drunk, because I'll tell you what,
I doubt that very much.
if my
I'm going to
first
tell you,
language is anything, my wife will tell you it's the number one thing she despises about me and wishes she could change. It's my honesty.
you know
Honesty,
what?
sarcasm, and
Honesty
then
is one thing.
conversation.
Okay, well, I was raised with sarcasm, no tact, and here I am.
Yeah, same.
And he said I used to cuss like a sailor. So, have you
I
heard
didn't
that?
make it up.
I actually cut down on that a lot too. I've cut down a lot on cussing. But yeah.
So, see, I think that there's a lot to be said about being honest. You just have to do it with tact as opposed to just blurting it out.
Then there's me. See, that's my BPD is I say it how it comes to my mind without thinking.
I
That's
had to stop doing that.
me. I'm learning it.
See, in my case, I got a job in the corporate field and God gave me 4 daughters. I had to figure it out between the two things. I had to figure it out.
Nope. See, I work with vets in a national cemetery. There's no figuring stuff out. It's suck it up and get over it there.
Well, you know what? Vets can take the truth.
I know. They're not afraid to give it either.
No,
Nope.
they're not. So,
I work with all of them.
So Mike, we're pretty much at the end of the show. Where can do you want anybody to find you? And if
I
you
love
do,
it. I
where
love
can
it.
they find you?
I love it. Yeah, yeah. Actually,
Social media.
so there are things you will see of me floating around on social media. Yes, I have tried starting another podcast. I have tried starting another clothing line, which was War Mine, and Unhatched was a podcast I wanted to start, but I dumped everything. I walked away from it to just build something better, something different. I 3 days ago I came up with a great idea that I'm actually going to reach out to you two about. I would love for you to be involved in.
Okay.
You're in Florida, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Sweet. I need team leaders. Anyways, I can't talk about it, but I will send you a message. Oh, hey Matt, yeah, Matt works with me. Maddie. Um, but yeah, Matt knows what's going on here as well. Matt's actually going to be involved in it. I can't say what it is, but it is going to be something great. I have already reached out to quite a few people that have shown major interest. I hope it catches on. I think it will do great. Um, it's really going to be a platform for not just myself to tell my story on where I am, but it's going to be a platform for other people as well, to tell their stories, because I know how tough it is to try and build a platform, let that platform tear you down and try and rebuild it. It is hard,
Yeah.
but it is possible. So you can find me on TikTok at I Hate Mike Hatcher, or is it Mike Hatcher Sucks? I don't remember which one. It might be I Hate Mike Hatcher.
Okay.
That I post a lot of more religious, God-based videos, motivational videos, and then just Facebook. I don't use Instagram anymore.
Yeah. I don't like Instagram because you can only post pictures.
It got boring.
It does. It does get boring, and I agree.
Still around.
Oh, and Kat, we are not going to Gettysburg because of my family stuff. That's the main reason. Second reason is Steve Barry hates conservatives. So
I
can't
didn't
go.
even know. I didn't know which way you guys swung. See, I don't judge. I don't check.
I
I
I mean, if I no matter how I was, not liking a group of 50% of the people that come to your event says that you don't need my
It's
money.
more than that.
Yeah.
Just saying.
What location is that?
Gettysburg Battlefield Bash.
Oh.
That I've been wanting to go to for years. So until
We'll just go up there a different time.
yeah, we'll just go at a different time and see Kat and all the people that we love up there. And we don't have to go to the bash to do that.
No.
We
But
can
haven't even
bash
made
the
it that
bash
far.
on our own. Yeah, we can bash the bash on our own.
I
So,
stopped doing
and
events. They're unless you're
we,
in the elite circle. Yes, there is one everywhere.
yeah,
You're gonna be nothing.
no, no, I like going,
Yeah, I don't
and
care
I'm going to
for
tell
them
you,
either.
the only reason I like going to the events is to meet the people that I'm friends with,
Hmm.
that I
That's all it's
truly,
about.
because that's what matters is those connections. Like Kat, we went to Gettysburg and she came up to see us when we were there, and we had a great time, and we're friends ever since. She was one of the first people I interviewed on my show 10 years ago, and we have been through thick and thin here. So, but that's us. If we're within a few hours of anybody that we feel is important, we're going to reach out to them and let them know we're in the area. In fact, we're going to reach out to uh, Hill City Paranormal because they live in Lynchburg, Virginia. We're going to probably be going to Gretna, where my dad's buried, and see if they want to meet up with us, Sean and Courtney.
Mm-hmm.
See if they want to meet up with us on our trip. That might be
See,
the only thing that we do that's
that's what I
separate.
want to get more into. Is it sucked? I loved doing the filming. Don't get me wrong, but it sucked when you're there working. You're not actually enjoying it. It's you're there for a job. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, you
This
really
one,
didn't make your own personal memories.
yeah. Well,
Everything's on film.
Ron's never been to this town that we're going to. I've been back a few times in my life. And what's funny is when I drive into this town, I know right where I'm going. And I had never driven there until 1998. I drove there myself as an adult and drove right to my dad's grave, like I had been there the day before. And
Wow.
I hadn't been there in over 20 years. In fact, I'd never seen his headstone because I was never there. So I took my kids back in, shoot, it was a while ago. I drove them there, took them to my dad's grave, and drove right to it again, like I knew where it was all along. And
It's like,
so
hey, come
I'm
visit.
hoping it's fun. Yeah. So I need to go. This past weekend,
Kind of on the way anyway.
it's on the way to or from, but this weekend it was 50 years I've been without my dad. So it's time to go back and say hi. But it's a neat town. I mean, it's stuck in the past, but it'll be neat to go.
You
But
have that.
it is great. And like I said, the thing about Gettysburg, yeah, I'd like to go, but
But those
I'm
are the
not going for the
greatest
bash.
towns. The ones that are stuck in the past are the greatest. It's this
Oh yeah,
digital age that is killing us. It's separating us. I get it brings us closer together. We get to network, but at the end of the day, it's destroying close relationships.
it in many cases it is. And the other thing is you can thank the aliens for that. Because I mean, I worked for Sprint PCS. So I worked for Sprint for years. And I watched the technology change from the time that I started in 98 to when Sprint disappeared.
Right, my mom worked for Alltel. Yep,
Oh, okay. Well, I work for Brightspeed. They're in your area. So,
never heard of it.
yeah, they're a local telephone company. So,
Really?
yeah.
Huh.
Well, we'll talk about
Maybe
that
not
later.
in this area.
I'd
We're
like to go
all
back into getting a landline. Get a landline.
we don't you know what? We don't even we bought a new house. Our previous house had telephone jacks in every room. Okay? We had to have them put in because they would only put them in like 3 rooms. We had them put in every room. In this house, there's one, and it's in the dining room. Of all places, why would you put it in the dining room?
So
Yeah,
people can call.
Who
while
said it
you.
was a dining room?
they did.
It's not. It's a storage room.
Right now, it's a storage room. We can't even get to the phone jack. But I don't even know which company I would call. Well, I guess
Or a
AT&T.
living room's a storage room.
Every room's a
Night,
storage
baby.
room.
I love you.
So,
Mwah. She doesn't want to look at the camera anymore. That kid, I love you.
oh, Well, she's very pretty from her hair, and you guys are going to love Mammoth Cave.
Oh yeah,
That's
we're
where
excited to go there.
Jellystone is. So there's a
Oh,
Jellystone
we've been to.
everywhere.
Yeah, yeah. My wife and I have been to Mammoth Cave. We haven't taken the kids yet though, so they're going this year. I
I've
loved
heard
it.
some stories. I've heard some stories about that place being haunted as well.
Mm-hmm.
Mammoth Cave. Oh yeah, when I first walked into it, I could see and feel like up at the top,
Mm-hmm.
just it's one of those things where um, I felt like I was imagining it just because I knew where I was and the stories that they tell you, but you could
Mm-hmm.
definitely feel it when you're down there.
I've never been there. I just know where it's at. Mostly because when I was going to Kentucky all the time and living in Kansas, it's like, is there a different way to go besides Interstate 64? And there's not. But that's just the way that it had to be. But oh, sorry, my granddaughter's calling.
Oh, you're good. Even
So
yeah, even this
yeah,
last trip, the last vacation we were supposed to take, my wife and I we were supposed to go down to Tennessee, and that was right when a couple weeks ago we had those major storms, and the main freeway that was right outside the campground we had to take to get to had rocks fall.
yeah.
So the whole way there was blocked.
Hmm.
So that was
And
a
I just
sign.
got a
Don't go.
weird message.
Hmm.
Oh, from Devin. So, but I'd like to thank you so much for coming on. It's been great getting to know you, and I hope we can do this again sometime, hopefully without the technical difficulties. But like for every to thank you so much for that. And you guys go find Mike Hatcher. If you love him, hate him, doesn't matter.
I don't care.
You'll like the truth. If you like the truth, he's a guy that you want to pay attention to, especially in the paranormal, because truth in the paranormal is waning.
Do you
Just
have like 5 minutes to talk after this behind stage?
yes, we do. We definitely have time to talk after this.
Are you
So
going to do any documentaries coming
Am
up?
I?
Yeah, are you going to go back and do that anymore?
As of right now, I no. Not any of my own. I think um, when I come back into the field, wink, wink. I will only film if invited. If people need help, need to do it, but it's not what my mission is. No.
So, well, yeah, we got time to talk after the show. We always find time to talk after the show. Just getting the show over sometimes is a problem. so,
Sorry.
so it's not your fault. It's mine.
Oh no,
I
I
got
know. I
distracted
used to do it too.
with grandchildren.
Yeah, you're looking at your.
Which is funny because I as we're
Got a
getting ready to
message.
close, I went back into my memory bank and actually did pull out a location that scared the crap out of me, but actually
Okay,
wasn't a haunted location.
what was that?
So real quick, if you got like
You get
five
time.
minutes, real quick, I'll make it short. So I was renting this house with my cousin. It was right after my ex fiance and I split up. So we got a 2 bedroom house. My room was in the basement because I had a bedroom down there, and I knew it was haunted from the beginning. This was still around the time I was slowly getting into the field. And sorry, Tom, hang on longer. Um, so I could always feel like I was being watched. Now, what led up to this? My girlfriend at the time had lost her phone charger, and she was the only one who had an iPhone at the time. So I wouldn't have
Mhm.
needed it. Nobody in the house would have needed it. One night she came over after she still couldn't find it, and we're hanging out, and I could just feel just tension that wasn't ours. It was just something in the room. So I started running EVPs, captured a couple voices. One said cigarette, which was really weird because at that same time, my girlfriend at the time asked me for a cigarette. Um, so when we were listening to these, I go upstairs to smoke, and she follows me. And as we're at the top of the stairs, she yells down and goes, "If you have my iPhone charger, I want it back." We came in the house. I swear on everything, it was at the bottom of the steps. So, this same house, my cousins randomly just left. Didn't even tell me they were leaving. Left everything.
Mm.
So I knew I knew they planned on it, but they didn't tell me when. They said we plan on moving. It could be a couple weeks, it could be whatever. I woke up one day, they were gone. I
Mm.
got a text saying we're moved. We took what we could. Whatever's in the house, you can keep, you can have, whatever. And I couldn't afford this property on my own. So my girlfriend and I got an apartment together. And at the time, I'm driving a 90, I don't even remember, 97 Volkswagen Passat or some crap, 98. And I got all my stuff packed in 2 trips, took to the new apartment. I came back and I go, all right, I'm going to go one more walkthrough, see what I can fit in my car that I might need. Um, just make one more walkthrough. And it's getting dark at this time. So I go to walk into that door. Mm-mm. I was hit with such a blast of hot heat. I left the door wide open. I threw my keys in the door and left.
Mm.
I would not even step foot in that house again. Um, to the point now, with as far as I've gotten into the paranormal since, I keep an eye on it to see if it's for sale. I want to go back. But
There
yeah,
was a
that's
couple
the only
houses
place
in
that scared me.
Kansas that we did. There was a house in Kansas that I would watch to see if it was ever up for sale. Had a thing on there to notify me if it was when it came up for rent. And by the time that I
The
would
old
get
funeral parlor?
no, the old Paola axe murder
Oh,
house.
yeah. That one. Yeah.
And every time it came up for rent, somebody would, they'd have to fix everything and then it'd be up for rent and somebody would rent it because they'd rent
For
it
a
cheap.
little bit, and they'd be out.
Yep. So it was weird. So, but got it. I understand that. I've seen houses where people have left everything and it makes you wonder why
Mm-hmm.
they would. So, but thank you for that story and thank you for going back and answering that question. And guys, if thank you for everybody who stuck it out through the technical difficulties and I appreciate that. So, hopefully on replay we'll get some more questions for you. But we'll let you know. Join us here every Monday night at 7 p.m. Central for the Paranormal Pride, and you can catch us on the Bill of Rights Network, Temple of Phoenix Rising Entertainment, Things Network, the Paranormal Pride Facebook and YouTube pages, and the Denise Pridemore LinkedIn. Join us every Tuesday night with Carl, Ron, and myself on Paranormal Nation Radio Not So Normal at 6 p.m. Our guest on Tuesday is going to be Natalie Kreider. She's going to talk to us about the weather and the paranormal, and it'll be really interesting to hear her take on all things related to both of those things. She's very talkative, inquisitive
Especially.
person. So you can also back to the Paranormal Pride and you can also find us on Rumble. So make sure you check out Born TV on Rumble. Then let's see. Tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Central, you can catch us every place that I've said tonight, except for LinkedIn. So you'll find us on Carl's YouTube page as well at that point. So if you guys have any questions, want to share anything, please reach out and let me know. I'm more than willing to listen. I'm more than willing to take notes too. So let me know. I'd like to hear it. So thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Central. Oh, and it's running across the bottom, and God knows that I already do know this, that you can find us on Dark Realm TV on Amazon and Roku, but you can also find soon to be on Apple TV. So check out Dark Realm and download their app. It's cheap, good entertainment. You can catch all kinds of different paranormal shows there. You can catch us. Oh, boy, David Glidden's out there. Let's see, who else? Jay and Jason Snyder, they're out there. You're going to find something that's going to tickle your fancy when it comes to the paranormal, the supernatural, or anything odd out there. So check that out, and we'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Good night.
All right.
Bye, guys.